Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high value, hi-fi, and home theater equipment. And today we're talking about 5 reasons why headphones are better than speakers and amps. I'm just kidding, they're not. But anyway, sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about 5 reasons why headphones are better than speakers and amps and stuff. But they're really not. Today's video is sponsored by Chicken Audio Falcon Hawks solder tip cleaning audiophile steel wool, orange steel wool devices. When you're doing DIY audio and you want to make sure that every piece of equipment that touches your new perfect speaker that you created from your mind or from a kit, there's only one option, and that's Audio Falcon Chicken Hawks orange steel wool soldering iron tip cleaning devices. $100, rounded off, 100, not $99.99, 100. They keep their pricing steady over Audio Falcon Chicken Hawk. Headphones and why they're awesome. They're cheaper, and I know that sounds kind of strange because I've had conversations with my patrons about why headphones are so expensive. This headphone is the Focal Elysia, and when it first came out, it was $900. You can still get them right now for $500. I got these used for less than $500, but they can seem a little bit expensive compared to a $500 speaker. You can get a decent pair of tower speakers for under $1,000, but a $1,000 headphone is not that uncommon. But I will say, when you're comparing the fidelity that you can get out of a headphone system versus that of a dedicated speaker amp and source system, the headphone system's generally going to be lower priced for more fidelity. I know some people can argue with that because the experience is different, but in general, you'll be able to get more bang for your buck out of a headphone system than you will out of a speaker system. And there are products like this that exist. These are, let me see if I can get it open, Soundcore. These are little Soundcore Bluetooth IEMs that have noise cancellation. We're gonna come back to noise cancellation later, but this was $67 and they're Bluetooth. But I'll argue that sometimes Bluetooth, when you have it in IEMs, is better than a wired system with the latest and greatest high-res music and all that stuff going through a pair of speakers. $67. $67 can go in your pocket, okay? A dongle, DAC, and headphone amp. $120. So one must consider what it would take to purchase a high-fidelity DAC, which this is. It's a 9038 QTM, from Hi-Diz's S9 Pro, and it's a amplifier as well. So just this and these together, guess what? You got a whole system when you hook it up to your phone. Grados, you can get a pair of Grados for $120. Then you add your dongle DAC for another $120. So for $240, you got an incredible sounding headphone system. $240. Now, to get that same amount of resolution out of a speaker system or traditional DAC amp speaker system or streamer, because you've got your streamer with your phone, is going to be significantly more expensive. What I'm saying is if you choose wisely, you can get an entire system for less than $300 or even less than $500. That's going to be incredible. There are a bunch of DAC amps out there that you can get for $75. I've reviewed some that are fantastic. The FX Audio DO-1, I think, is $150, has a great DAC in it, has Bluetooth and a headphone amp. If you really want to step up, you can get the topping EX5, which also has balanced output. Fantastic DAC, headphone amp included, $350. Number 2, ambient noise. That's what going on around you. At all times, there's noise going on around you. You pull out a real-time analyzer, you can download a free app on your phone. Chances are ambient noise in your room right now, if you're not listening to headphones, just things going on, it's probably 40 dB. 40 dB. That's not insignificant. When we start to consider the dynamic ranges of recordings, that means to get to hear all of that recording. If the recording has a dynamic range of 30 dB, which actually most compressed modern recordings don't even have a dynamic range of 30 dB. But let's just say, for argument's sake, an LP can have about 65 dB of dynamic range. That means if your ambient noise in your room is 30, but more likely 40 dB, to hear the entirety of the dynamic range on that recording, in theory, you would have to be listening at levels of 105 dB. Now, what I just said, most records, even a good record, has a dynamic range of maybe 20 dB. So still, if you're 40 and you had 20, that's 65, but it's still going to bug the people around you if you're listening at 65, 75, 85 dB or anything like that. So if you have a lot of uncompressed music, to hear all of the bits of that uncompressed music, you're going to be listening at pretty loud levels. By taking a bit of that ambient noise out of the picture in the form of a closed back headphone, or a noise canceling headphone, or an IEM that just by design has noise canceling capabilities, now you're hearing all of the dynamic range of that recording without having to turn it up to incredibly loud levels. Even with open back headphones, there still is a bit of room mitigation. Most open back headphones, you don't hear everything that's going on around you. It's still reduced a little bit, which means even with open back, you can get away with listening at lower levels and hearing more of the music. Bottom line is, you don't have to listen as loud to hear all of the music. Number 3, they're portable. Even these, the Focal Elysias that don't fold down or anything, are pretty big on my head. Even these, guess what, can go into a suitcase or some luggage or a backpack, and you can take them with you. And they're good. They are a good headphone. That means if you travel a lot, you can take your music with you. You can't do that with speakers. You can, but chances are it's going to be pretty expensive when you put that luggage on the plane. When you consider these, and these are both Soundcore. Soundcore are some of my favorite Bluetooth IEMs. They're fantastic. They have an EQ. They have all sorts of cool settings. This one has active noise cancellation. This one does not, but you almost don't need it because it's just a good fit. Fantastic. Fantastic. $67 and $120. These go with me everywhere. Everywhere. I use these when I'm mowing the yard. I use these when I'm going into the store or what have you, or for work and calls, things like that. Coffee shop. I actually took a call with these in a coffee shop and it was fantastic. Anyway, they're $67, and you want to talk about extreme portability, you throw these in your pocket and you forget about it. And they're good. I'm not making any concessions when I'm listening to those. They are fantastic. Frankly, one of the biggest surprises I've ever had are with these Soundcore Bluetooth headphones. But you can get an Ear Studio M100 Mark II that has a 10-band parametric EQ, also does LDAC Bluetooth, also can be a dongle DAC in and of itself, and take some of these IEMs and just throw them in your pocket. You just can't do that with speakers. And I love music. I am listening to music all the time, or podcasts, or YouTube, go figure. And I love it. So I take it with me everywhere. I'm getting ready to go on a work trip tonight, and guess what? There's going to be a stable of headphones and IEMs that goes with me, because that's when I have my Zen time, is when I'm listening to music. And I don't want to compromise that by not having my perfect system, because my perfect system takes up the entirety of a wall in my living room. 4, it removes the issues with room acoustics. Now this is kind of a empty argument in a way, because headphones will never image and soundstage like speakers will. It just doesn't happen. I've spent a lot of time listening to speakers and understanding what the imaging and soundstage is like with speakers. There is imaging and soundstage capabilities from a headphones, but it is different. It's completely different than what it is with speakers. The only time I've ever gotten forward in front of me imaging with a headphone has been on one track. It's called Ho Hey by the Lumineers. And some IEMs and some headphones will put the singer in front of me. But generally that is not the case. With all that said, there is still imaging, and there's, there'll be a sound from up here or back here when I'm listening to headphones. Rarely is it laid out right in front of me. Usually it's in my head kind of laterally. Regardless, there is soundstage and imaging. When I am working with speakers, you are always working within the room. So you have reflections to deal with. You have bass loading to deal with. And some people would argue that the room is just as important as the speakers that you have playing in them. So with headphones, with IEMs, all of those things are taken off the table. Is it going to give you a situation like a perfect treated room with speakers? No, it's going to be different. Regardless, those room issues with reflections and acoustic treatments and time delays and all that stuff is all taken out of the picture because you have the speaker centimeters from your ear. So headphones take the room out of the equation. 5, privacy and consideration. One of my favorite times during the day is while I'm laying in bed right before I go to sleep. And I am always wearing headphones or IEMs before I go to sleep. It's my time. That's my time when I really get to enjoy music, or I get to watch a movie, or whatever it is. No chance that that's happening if I'm pumping 70 dB of listening levels through my home theater stereo system I have in the room. The wife's not going to go for that. I can't go for that. No can do. Anyway, I get to listen to what I want to and how loud I want to when I'm laying in bed. Now, there's 2 things that my wife can figure out when she's dead asleep. Dead asleep. If I turn on a football game, and I don't know why, it must be the brightness and the color changes and the dynamics of what it wakes her up like that. The second thing that wakes her up like that are what she calls leaky headphones. So try as I might, I cannot listen to open back headphones in bed, even if it's really quiet levels. And even if the headphones don't leak that much, it's still, for whatever reason, it wakes her up. So I use closed backs or IEMs when I'm in bed. And guess what? I'm being considerate to my wife. She sleeps, I'm enjoying my music, and it is awesome. It's interesting because I do so many speaker reviews and amp reviews and lately some home theater stuff. But my passion is actually headphones and IEMs. And if my dream job is reviewing speakers and amps, my dream hobby is reviewing headphones and IEMs. Number 6. This is a cheap, non-intrusive way to listen to your music in a different way. I will challenge you, if you're not a headphone person or you're not an IEM person, go buy some on Amazon. Go buy a dongle DAC on Amazon and listen to some music that you've heard hundreds of times. And if you don't hear something that you haven't heard before, if you don't enjoy yourself, then return them. Because I think if one doesn't have a couple sets of IEMs or a couple sets of headphones that they're enjoying, they're doing themselves a disservice. This is an entire different way that your music that you love is presented to you, and you can hear more of it because you don't have ambient noise to contend with. You don't have a huge barrier to entry with price, and you can fit this stuff wherever you want to go, which this opens up the ability to enjoy very different sound signatures on your music, because the Meze 99 Classics is a warmer, more laid-back headphone. The Focal Allegias are pretty neutral, but the Monolith M570 is a more detailed headphone. And the Grado SR80Es, but now this is the SR80X, very lively, somewhat of a U-shaped headphone. So you can enjoy all of these different sound signatures, and you're not having to store 6 different tower speakers or 6 different bookshelf speakers. It's a great way to enjoy different sound signatures on the music that you already love. So if you're not a headphone or IEM person, consider it, because I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudio, and every Sunday night we have Patreon-only Zooms. We also have a patron-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Amazon Music. You get 3 months of music for free, 3 months of Amazon Music for free, 6 months of Disney Plus for free. You can also purchase, I'm going to link a few of these in the description. If you use any of those links, I do get a commission. Doesn't cost you any more, but it's a great way to support the channel. So don't binge watch anything. Binge listen through some headphones or IEMs, a dongle DAC or two, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.